from the depths of the ocean to as high as the skies, through the rugged terrain of the earth and the center of it too. Jules Verne, often referred to as the father of science fiction, has taken readers around the whole world through their imaginations. Like in one of his most famous works, Around the World in 80 Days. And Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Unthinkable, but it must be true. A man took some tools and went where no human being had ever set foot. Unknown.
Jules Verne forecasted future innovations that weren't even created until centuries after his books were written, and left a mark on the whole world through creating the first sci-fi novels. Jules Gabriel Verne was born on February 8, 1828 in Nantes, France. He was the eldest of 5 children, born to Pierre and Sophie Verne. Verne grew up on Ile-de-Feydeau Island on the Loire River in France. He was very exposed to all kinds of ships and boats, which influenced his interest in boats, voyages, and adventures. When Verne was just 12 years old, he escaped to go work as a cabin boy on an ocean-going ship. Before the ship could get out to sea, his father had intercepted the ship, and Verne had to make a promise that he could only travel the world through his imagination, a prediction fulfilled in a manner his parents could not have imagined. This is a picture of the modern-day boarding school that Verne studied in when he was a child. This is where he sparked his interest in writing short stories and poems. When Jules Verne was at a boarding school, his father sent him to Paris, France, to go study law just as he did. His father was a very well-known lawyer, and he wanted his son to follow into his footsteps. However, Verne really didn't take the path with law. He secretly planned a literary career, so he began writing plays, dramas, and operettas during his law practice. Aside from practicing at the law firm, he became very intrigued with a local theater in Paris. He began working there on the side and began to write his own plays. However, working at his practice and writing plays for the theater didn't really bring him in much money, so he had to take a job as a stockbroker. But in 1863, his first hit, 5 Weeks in a Balloon, was published. It became such an instant success, he was able to concentrate on writing and retire from stockbroking. Around the same time, Verne met and fell in love with his wife, Madame Morzel, who was a widowed daughter of an army officer. They got married that January. She had 2 daughters, Valentine and Suzanne, and together they had their son Michael on August 3, 1861. After his first couple successful writings, his writing career took off. Verne wrote over 60 novels in his lifetime. His books were sold worldwide, making him the second most translated author in the world, behind Agatha Christie and in front of Shakespeare. In most of Verne's novels, he talks about futuristic ideals that weren't even mentioned or thought about during the century that he was writing in. Most of his predictions of these futuristic innovations were spot on. Through the remarkable achievements that Verne had accomplished, he set the precedent for sci-fi novels to come. Since Verne didn't receive any awards during his lifetime, they named one after him. George Lucas received it in 2006, William Shatner 2007, and Richard Dean Anderson in 2012. By the end of Verne's life, he struggled with diabetes, which left him partially blind and other parts of his body paralyzed. Due to a stroke that made him fall into a coma, he died on March 24, 1905. He was 77 years old. Sculptor Albert Rose made a statue of Verne that was placed over his tomb in the Cemetery de la Madeleine at Ames. On the statue it reads, "Onward to immortality and eternal youth." France also memorializes Verne by a restaurant named after him. In fact, it's inside of the Eiffel Tower. Through the outstanding achievements of Jules Verne, the world has been able to travel the earth using their imaginations. His success will and will always be treasured for lifetimes to come.